Hello everybody, I hope you can hear me and see me. Happy New Year to you. And I can't believe it's already 2018. Can you believe it? 2017 just flew by and I'm having a hard time saying 2018, but I think I'll get to it. So, why are we here today? First of all, give a thumbs up if you can see and hear me, because it's the first time I've gone live in Facebook or anywhere for that matter, so I don't know if this is working. So give a thumbs up if you can hear me and see me, and if not, put your comments in the post below so I can see your questions and answer them as I go. So I have my laptop on the right hand side and I'm watching it live while I'm to see the comments and questions while I am talking to you. Okay, so I'll be posting this video on YouTube and as well as on my website. For those of you who can't make it today, I know that I have some friends from around the world, from Africa, from Australia, New Zealand, from Asia, Europe, and I know we're in all different time zones, so not everyone can make it. But I'll put it on to different places, so you'll have to be able to take a look at it after it goes live. And do put your comments in even after, if you're watching this after it's gone live, because I'll come back, take a look at the comments and reply and engage with you even afterwards. So what are we doing today? 3 things. I want to share with you a quick reading of my first novel that just officially launched today. I know some of you, everybody in my email list, you've heard about it earlier, and those of you, I don't know if you can hear me well, my microphone wasn't even tagged in. Okay, maybe you can hear me better now. So the book was published officially today on all platforms, the electronic version of it. So hopefully you'll be able to take a look at it, and you can pick it up from anywhere. The print copy is not available everywhere, but I'll tell you a little bit about it later on. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is do a quick reading of the first chapter. It's 2 minutes, just a page long. The second thing I'll do is tell you a little bit about the book launch and some of the promotions that are happening right now. And the third thing I'll do today is tell you about a contest where you can pick up this, you'll get, 3 winners will get this book for free in wherever the world you are. I'll mail it to you and you'll get the print copy. And I know this book isn't available in all countries. The distribution and publishing machinery takes its time, so I'm hoping some of you will have a chance to win the book, the actual book signed. Okay, so tell me where you're listening from, and even if you are watching this after the video is live, put your comments below, and I'm gonna look at my computer right here to see if there are any questions, who's watching, to see if, let's see if this works. So bear with me while I figure this out and get to, oh, there it is. Hi Nadine, how are you doing? Bonjour madame, ça va bien? It's nice to see you. Okay, I am going to tell you a little bit about me. For those of you who've never met me and wondering what all this book is about, I I'm the author of the Red Heel Rebels novel series, and I also have authored a series of books called the Rebel Diva Journals, which just got launched last week. And those journals are all about personal empowerment, and it's about how do we stand in our own power, and how do we find our purpose in life and passions, and a very strategic and practical way of getting from A to Z, if that's where you want to go. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. But in case some of you are wondering, yes, I write those books as well. But today we're going to talk about stories and novels and books like this. Now, the first question people ask me when they meet me is, why did you write this series? And the reason is, I was born in Asia, I grew up in Africa, I worked in Southeast Asia, I worked in Europe, I lived in Quebec for a long time, in Canada, and I've kind of lived in many different places ever since I was a little baby. And one of the things that I learned as I lived in different places and different countries is what it is like to be a young girl, and then a teenager, and then a young adult, as then a professional adult studying and working in these different parts of the world, what it's like to be a woman and how we're treated where I am today in North America, I can walk into any boardroom, my experience anyway, and do the job I have to do and walk away and shake hands. And I find that is not the case everywhere in the world, especially when I was growing up. It was very different, and it still is in many parts of the world. As much as we like to wish it were different, it is not the case. So seeing what it's like to be a girl or a woman in different cultures where the traditions aren't in your own best interest, the seeing and observing and hearing from my girlfriends what they went through or what they go through in life just because of their gender, and also knowing that something's happening on the other side of the street or in the city or a village next to us, and everybody turns around and shrugs their shoulders and says, well, you know what, it's not our business, or we don't need to care about it, or it happens in those villages. But it just breaks my heart to know that there are girls around the world who are the most vulnerable people in this world, bar none, especially young girls in the pubescent age. They are so vulnerable, and the abuse that happens is quite shocking. And I thought I could write a PhD thesis on the issues and get my anger out there, and which is what I do for work, is write major reports, and you can get that from any organization like United Nations or International Labour Organization. I could do that, go on that structured route, or I can, instead of just trying to reach out to your mind, I can also reach out to your hearts by telling a story of a young girl who goes through the experiences that girls go through around the world, and how they fight back and overcome these traditions and overcome these practices that aren't in their best interest, that are really geared to harm them, not keep them healthy and safe and secure. So that's really why I started writing this series, and I crossed 4 continents in this series because it covers every country that I have either visited or lived in. And I promised myself I'll only write about the places I've lived or visited, because has given me some insight which I wanted to share, and that way I can also describe the places better, and hopefully take you on that journey with the story. Okay, so I'm just looking at my tablet here, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So that's one more thing I wanted to share with you is on these books. I live by the philosophy of you've probably heard this quote by Einstein, and this quote he said in relation to the Second World War and the Holocaust, but he said that the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil. The world will be destroyed by those who see it happen and look away or do not do anything. And it just struck me. I live by that rule, and I think if the very least I can at least tell the stories of the girls I met and read and about, and some of the experiences and observations that I have seen through my travels, put it into a story line that shares that, then maybe we can all be a little bit more informed, and hopefully this will be a more palatable way of learning about these things. That way you're not drowning in statistics, which we'll all forget, but you get really connected to these people, these girls, and you'll know what it's like, and know that our sisters and some of our brothers as well around the world do not have the same fortune as we have where we live. And I think the best thing we can do is to be informed, if nothing else, just knowing this is happening. That's the most important thing. I think that's where we can start. So that's the reason why I wrote these books. Maybe I'm telling you a little bit more than you wanted to hear. Now tell me what you think. If you can tell me in your comments. Hi Tammy, so nice to see you. Tell me what you guys think about the issues around the world, and especially when it relates to girls, the poverty, the education, the fact that they're not they're forcefully kept illiterate, so they can be sold off, and all the things that happen in the books of mine as well. What do you think about this, and what do you think of the idea of increasing and informing, and at the very least knowing about it as an important thing that we all should do. So tell me what you think about it in the comments below. And if you're watching this after it's live, put your comments still, because I'm going to come back. And I know many of you said this time is not good for you. So I'll come back and take a look at it and comment back and engage. Okay, so the first thing I said I'll do is do a quick reading of the first chapter. So if you'd allow me, I am going to take the first chapter of Disowned, the first novel of the Red Hill Rebels series. And this is just 2 minutes because my first chapter is only a page and a half long. So I know some of you asked me for it, so I'm going to do that reading now. Okay, so here you go. Are you ready for a story? All right. Chapter 1 of the Red Hill Rebels novel series. 2 hands yanked me out of the crumpled car. My back scraped against the mangled door, but I felt no pain. I looked around in a shocked daze. I need my glasses. There we go. Everything was a blur of smoke and crackling fire. I heard shouting nearby. The man in the Tanzanian police uniform let go of my arm and doubled over, coughing. It was a rough, gagging cough. His face was glowing, not from sweat, but from the reflection of the fire. That was when I felt the heat. The grass around us, tall enough to hide a fully grown African elephant, was ablaze. The fire was climbing the acacia tree that we'd hit moments earlier, its leaves curling inward in pain. I gazed in horror at our small Fiat engulfed in flames. There was a familiar shadow inside. A darkened head collapsed forward. Another shadow leaned against the steering wheel, now a ring of fire. I struggled to my feet. Oh my God! Oh my God! Get back! Someone yelled. I had to get them, save them. Mama, Papa! I yelled. I got up, but before I could do anything, the officer grabbed me by the arm and pulled me through the hot grass, half carrying, half dragging me like a rag doll. I kicked at the dirt and struggled all the way, almost losing my precious red sandals. I screamed, let me go, but he dumped me on the asphalt and flopped down beside me, his hand holding tightly on my shoulder, the other wiping his face, which was now drenched in sweat. The crackle of fire and the blaring of sirens were getting louder. I felt hands pull me onto a stretcher. People were shouting at each other and at me. Someone was forcing me to lie down, hands on my shoulders, pinning me down. No, I fought to get up. Mama, Papa! Hatari! A sharp voice said behind me. Danger! The man who pulled me from the car came over and reached for my hands. Huenzi Kwenda Nyuma, he said in a soft voice, shaking his head. I didn't understand, and not because I didn't know the language, but we got to do something. We got to go back, do something. I lunged forward, hands clapped me down. The officer sighed and shook his head. Pole, pole, he said. I stared at him through the smoky haze. I now knew enough Swahili to understand. He just said, sorry. I collapsed. My mind was heavy, foggy. This isn't happening. This is a nightmare. I'll wake up soon. But the fire was all around us now. I couldn't see our car anymore. Then the world went black. I think I'll stop there. And those of you who already read the book, you know what happens next. If you don't, pick it up and you'll know what happens next to this young girl who's lost her parents really to this fiery crash in Tanzania, and her beginning of a voyage around the world and fighting for her own freedom as well as freedom of the other young women and men that she meets. So that was my quick reading, and let me see what else I had promised. Oh, let me see all these lovely comments. Yes, Tammy, that's a really good point. Awareness is critical for moving society forward. So wonderful. Yes, I so agree with you. I think at the very least, if you're aware, and that's the best we can do, right? It's still good enough. We can't all go out as revolutionaries, and if some of us want to, I want to do it one day, and I'm hoping I'm starting my journey. But I think you're right. Awareness is the step number one. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show, I wanted to ask comment of those of you who especially read the prequel to this story. There's a short prequel which is about 10,000 words, and it tells you the beginning of the life of this young girl in East Africa just before she shipped off to another continent, and what it's like, and why she became who she became. If you read that and you're watching this after this has gone live, I'd love to hear from you what you think, any comments that you have about that story, because what I want to get is as much feedback so I can write the stories that you enjoy reading, and maybe there are certain things that you'd like me to do. Well, share that with me and I'd be happy to read and see what I can do. Okay, so the second thing I promised you was to tell you about the book launch. So this book is formally launched today on all platforms, and everyone in my email list, I know you got this news last week. So this is the e-version, and there is a universal link that I'll share with you online. It's already up there, but I'll share it again, that you can go and to any online store that you prefer. Some of you I know use Kobo, some of you use Apple and other stores. So whatever it is that you prefer, you can go to that store and pick it up. The launch special that's happening right now is 99 cents for the ebook, but only Amazon.com has reduced the price. So I do apologize for all the other stores, anyone who likes to go to the other stores, that it's not at that price yet, but I keep hammering them. I asked them last week, so I'm going to hammer them again and tell them to do the right thing as soon as possible. But what I am going to do, since that's taking time, is to leave the book at 99 cents till the 13th of January. So if those of you, at least there's one place that we can go to get it at a lower price. And those of you who don't know my writing, 99 cents is not a great amount of time and money to invest, that you could at least, so it's not a lot if you're new to my kind of writing. I'm trying to make this easy for you to discover. Okay, so the second thing I want to share with you is the print book is not available in all the countries, but it is available in the United States, in most of Europe, and in the United Kingdom, and it will be rolled to the other countries in the next few months, including mine. In Canada, you can't get it for in the print version, but I'm hoping it'll come in the next few months. But if you stay till the end of this video, which is right the next topic, I'll tell you about the contest where maybe you can win one of the 3 copies. You know, the funny story is I live right between the Canadian-American border in British Columbia, so it's 5 minutes for me to scoot across the border, buy the books, and scoot back in. Now, I think the border guards all know me as this crazy author who goes and buys all her books from across the border, but so that's what I do. It is hugely expensive, but I'm hoping it'll be available here and everywhere very soon. Okay, so leave a comment if you're having trouble getting the ebook now in any of the platforms, and I'll check it out. Okay, so contest. How do you enter the contest to win one of the 3 books, print books and signed books? Let me share a little bit of information with you. It started at midnight last night and it ends on the 21st of January. And I sent an early notification to everybody on my mail list. I also put it as a post on my Facebook, and it's also on my website. So I'll put that link again. Now, the way you enter the contest is you just go into that post and you answer one of the 4 questions, keeping in mind that the top question has more entries than the bottom question, and you look at the questions and you'll realize you'll understand why. But at the end of the day, though, it's an algorithm in the back. It's hosted by Rafflecopter. It's gonna do its magic at the end on 21st of January, and just pick the 3 winners and give them to me, but it depends on how many entries that you've had in there. So if you answered the first question, you'll have more entries, and I think also when you share it, you'll get more entries as well. So take a look at that, check it out, and I will get back to the 3 winners directly, as well as I'll put the 3 winners' names in the email that I send out every week, and also put it on all the social media sites so you'll know who won. And I'm really hoping it's one of those people who live in one of those countries who does not have access to the print books, because it'll be a good gift to be so happy to send that to you. I'll mail it to you wherever you are. So do check that contest out and enter it. I would love to see your name in there. Okay, so what else? That's all I have for you. So I wanted to do my reading. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and why I wrote the books, and the fire that's in my belly that propelled me to write about these stories, and tell you about the contest. So I think I'll end there. If there are no questions, let me check for questions. I think, thank you, Tammy, for the lovely words. Thank you guys for hanging with me, and I really appreciate it. I want to wish you all a happy new year. I have this feeling that this is going to be a really good year, not just at a personal level, but at a global macro level. I don't know why, but I have this feeling it's whatever happens is going to be all for good. And you know what? We get our negativity bias fed by the media. So all we hear is all the bad stories and the horrific stuff. And I know some of the stories in these books aren't, they're not easy to write, and they weren't easy to read. I understand that. But the world is progressing, and girls are getting more education than ever before. Women are having more rights than ever before. I mean, the LGBTQ community has more rights. It's not true in all countries, but we are moving ahead. So I think I can only see positivity. I'm so optimistic about the future, and I think this year is going to be a good one for all of us. So I want to wish you all, I see some authors online, and if for those of you authors, I want to wish you all the best and good luck this year. And as for my readers, thank you so much for being there with me throughout the last year, as well as hopefully you'll stick with me this year as well. So thank you again, and a happy, happy, happy new year to all of you. Take care now, and goodbye. Okay, how do I turn this off?